Jones was finding a lot more room, I thought. He was running with the ball a lot more and not just coming up against a brick wall. And he was instrumental in all of our really good moves early on in the second half, and I think that helped change the tempo of everything. I think we looked a much more dangerous side. The high press was working, they just weren't getting out. And I suppose in the end, that kind of pressure tells.
I suppose as well, I was thinking, we'll stick with Curtis Jones, we'll carry on talking about him, because I think it's obviously worth talking about him. He was fantastic. It was one of those games, John mentioned before, if 0-0 draw looked all over it, it was going to be a mistake or a piece of brilliance that got Liverpool back in, or got somebody ahead in the game, and both teams have players capable of doing it, Sam. It was actually Curtis Jones' pass, and we'll talk about Diaz in a minute, and the finish and the fantastic, and he scores a hat-trick. We'll give Lucho his flowers, don't worry. But it is, on a midfield full of internationals, actually, Curtis Jones isn't one yet, and yet he kind of shone a little bit, especially in the second half. That pass is glorious, but he was so confident on the ball. He always wants the ball, trying to find space. It was, ever since he become a dad, really, Curtis Jones, and he's got back in the team, and he's gone up a level. Yesterday, again, Diaz was rightly man of the match. He scores a hat-trick, but you could easily make an argument for Curtis Jones being as important, really. He had another wonderful game.
Yeah, and I think at a time when McAllister's not playing poorly, but just kind of looking like an ordinary midfielder, which for most teams would be fine, but for us, having seen what he did last year, we know he can play better. But Jones seems to be taking on a bit of responsibility with that happening, and it's almost what we thought Curtis Jones would be when he broke through in about 2019-20. When we thought he'd be this like number 10 who was playing like incisive passes, scoring goals. We're starting to see a bit more of that, albeit in the number 10 for slot, which is almost more about work off the ball than on the ball. And it was, that pass, absolutely fantastic. The weight, he had to weight it perfectly. And then obviously the finish, Diaz, it was almost stuck under his feet a little bit, so he didn't have too many options, but he must have just seen the keeper out of the corner of his eye and dinked him. And it was just a fantastic goal. The run was
sensational, wasn't it? Yeah. The pass was brilliant, and the run was brilliant. I mean, the thing about Curtis is, in the summer, when we were in pre-season, he came out and made this big statement about how Slot plays exactly the way I want the team to play. It's much better for me. I'm really looking forward to what's coming and blah, blah, blah. And then he wasn't in the side and he had a bit of an injury, and it's only now he's come into the side and you can see what he meant, that he's actually flourishing under the system that Slot plays.
I've got some of his stats here. Actually, he gets 90% pass accuracy. What's interesting, actually, and I've got if you see his heat map for those watching or for those listening, it's a bit different. But like his heat map's almost like right hand side. Like we're not used to Curtis playing there, Sam. So he's finding space wherever he can find it. Obviously, because he's in the same team as McAllister, he's asked to come over to the right as well. He's constantly getting on the ball. He's constantly making the right decisions, and then he gets that one moment of where he is in time, he's able to turn and he's able to pick a pass. And I don't even know how he sees it, never mind waits it. It just feels like his influence on games is growing and growing and growing every week. And this one, like I say, he was a real catalyst for Liverpool getting ahead in that game.
It is growing. It feels a little bit like he's always been a bit of a confidence player. Maybe not a confidence player, but someone who gets better with games, which you could say about anyone really. But even the runs he's had, one in the COVID season towards the end of last year, he's always looked better after a few games under his belt, which is natural really. But I'd say, talking about what Slot said after the match, Slot said in pre-season, behind closed doors game, he played him as a 6, and that's kind of what he thought he was. He thought he was just someone who could keep things ticking over, technically excellent. And as the season's gone on, Slot was saying he's still seeing new things in training every day, and he's seeing that Jones has that kind of incisiveness we need that maybe Szoboszlai hasn't been showing. It's interesting you say about him playing a lot of the time on the right side, whereas for the goal we actually saw it's kind of in the middle and on the left where we'd expect him to be good attacking. So it'll be interesting to see whether he kind of takes McAllister out of the firing line for a little bit and puts Jones in that left position. But for now, I mean, he's brilliant.
And defensively as well, looking at the stats, he wins 5 of 4. The issue you always think when you play Curtis Jones, John, might be is he going to do enough defensively? We know he's great on the ball. That's always been his quality, you know. But he's winning those duels as well.
Yeah.
He's winning the ball back. He's getting in the right positions. Again, he was tracking his runners, like I say.
I mean, he's now at like a sum of his experience, because I mean he's played number 6 for the under-21s quite a lot, hasn't he? So he's obviously gained that experience, and you know that would help him with his defensive work. And he's always been a guy who could hold on to the ball. In fact, for a while I thought he was going to be another Ginny, because that's what he seemed to do best, is hold the ball and not, you know. But now he's added running to his game, and he's added incisive passing as well. So he's maturing all the time and getting better. In terms of where he plays on the pitch, I said last time, I think McAllister should still be playing as an 8 rather than where he is now, and I think Curtis should play where McAllister plays.
Yeah, and it's interesting because looking forward, like I say, you're right to reference Arne Slot. He's come in and it's a clean slate for everybody. There's no preconceived ideas. It's not, I think you're this, I believe you're. You know, Ryan Gravenberch is now on number 6. Kostas Timikas is now the starting left back. Curtis Jones, who again actually was playing quite a little bit deeper under Jurgen Klopp as well. You've been given an opportunity, whether it be through injury, suspensions, tiredness, rotation, and he's been given this chance and he's taken it. And fair play to him. Like it shows under the manager. Like you can't still there's no preconceptions anymore. There's no you're not pigeonholed Curtis as well.
I'm getting the impression under Slot that even he's surprised at some of the things. He's trying people in different positions, and he's surprised at how well some people are taken to it. I mean, just look at Diaz and Gakpo. He's now found a way to play them both, and I thought that was impossible. They were either one played on the left or the other, and now we know that's not true. You know, but he tried him on the right, didn't he, last week? That didn't really work, Diaz, but suddenly he's found him in the middle. Slot obviously is a bit of a star, isn't he?
He's clearly a very good coach, we know that. And I think Curtis is another one. It's almost like playing your hot hand a bit, Sam. You might ride this wave, it won't always last. You know, hopefully Curtis can stay fit, because that's been an issue for him. He picks up these little injuries or whatever. He's going to go away with England, you think, in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm sure he'll get a cap now, which he more than deserves. But he's turned himself into like probably. I mean. Again, Harvey Elliott's injury might have helped, and bits of rotation and whatever, but he's got himself in the team now, and if he carries on playing at that, he's going to keep himself in the team, because when Curtis goes on these hot streaks, like I say, he is one of those type of players. He has these little runs where he can be really influential, and like I say, yesterday on a pitch with the likes of Florian Wirtz, who's, you know, £100 million Real Madrid midfielder of the future. Actually, it was the Curtis Jones home midfield for the most part of that game. Yeah,
and he seems to be kind of, as I said before, taking more responsibility. As we kind of saw him do that even was it his first goal he scored against Everton? He wants to be the midfielder that kind of takes the ball and drives at the defence. As John said before, remember what he said in pre-season about it's more about the midfield now under Slot rather than using the wingers as much. And I think he's thriving under it. He's also got the versatility, which is so important it was so important for Klopp and Slot, obviously, to play in different positions, because, I mean, under Klopp, would he have even got to this stage if he didn't have that versatility and that football brain? Because I don't think Klopp would have played him enough, would have played him as often if he hadn't turned into someone like a bit like Gini Wijnaldum. So I think he's a really intelligent footballer. It's great to have a Scouser in the team apart from Alexander-Arnold. Because who doesn't love that, apart from some weirdos online? but I think for 99% of fans, we love it, and I just love seeing him score. And on this season already, like I say, he's obviously that was his first goal of the season, John. He's got 3 assists as well, so he's equalled last year's tally of assists. Last year, actually, he did quite well. He scored a few goals in the League Cup. He ended up with 5 overall. He played 36 games last year, got 5 goals, 3 assists. This year, he's played 12 games in all comps. He's got his goal and his 3 assists. He's becoming a little bit more of a factor in the final third now. He was the one arriving for that shot. The cross that comes in, that is clearly aimed for him, for his header. Like, he's being allowed to drive into the box and use his skills there as well. So this new position, it feels like it does suit Curtis Jones more than perhaps some of the other roles he's been given in latter years. Well, it certainly looks that way, doesn't it? He looks really, really up for it. He looks like he's in the peak of his form as well. It just, he's thriving. I don't think
and long may it last. I mean, that's the thing, is how long it lasts. When you see someone playing well, you just hope it carries on and on. And with Curtis, he's still got that to prove. He's still got to add longevity to that kind of form.
The question, I suppose, sometimes has always been about him, to wrap up, Sam, like, does he influence big games? Does Curtis, like, can he do it well? He was the best player on the pitch against Chelsea, and now he's been the best player on the pitch against Bayer Leverkusen. So he's starting to prove now, actually, he not only he can do it at Anfield against ex-team here at the bottom of the league. Now, actually, these are two of the hardest games Liverpool have had this season, and Curtis Jones is pretty much ran the midfield in both of them. Yeah,
and I think he likes taking on that mantle. It was a couple of years ago, was it Ajax away? Was one of the best games he played for Liverpool. I don't think there were any supporters, but I think that was one of the games where we first really thought this guy can step up at the top level, because as much as we like to laugh about it, the FA Cup goal against Everton, like his first big appearance, it's Everton in the FA Cup, it's not quite the same. And so seeing him do that in the Champions League, and then obviously he's had his injuries, and hopefully now he seems settled. He's just become a dad, like he said. And he said in an interview recently that, he feels secure in his future. He kind of, after Klopp went, there was obviously a bit of anxiety about would certain players be fancied, would they not be fancied, but now he feels secure. He feels like he's settled. The club, he knows the club wants him in the long term now. He basically said on YouTube in a video with Ruby Deschamps, who was on Redmen last week, wasn't she? And so I think he's got everything now, barring those little niggly injuries, to go and become first choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Long may it continue for Curtis Jones, because we're all glad. And I say he's more than earned his shirt. And if he starts against Aston Villa at the weekend, I don't think anybody would be up in arms about it. And that hasn't always been the case with Curtis, that's for sure.